Hey everyone, imagine if you will having access to the incomes or the wealth produced or created by millions of Canadians. And think what you could do with that money. Well, you could probably spend a lot of it on personal consumable goods, things to benefit yourself. Of course, at the same time, you could also use it if you were in a position of governance or in a so-called position of authority. You could also use it to buy favors or to benefit those who are just like you, who represent the ruling establishment or the political class in this country. And in Canada in 2019, I'm not just talking about elected MPs or officials voting to give themselves a raise, as if that's not bad enough, right? A little conflict of interest there, don't you think? But no, as if that's not bad enough. Well, in this modern, weird world where Canada's trying to create this kind of equity situation, well, you could also use it to benefit losers as well. Of course, it's the Canadian taxpayer, or at this point in time, the unborn or future generations that'll pay for it. But hey, think of that feel-good feeling that you get from it. Headline of the CBC News Politics: House of Commons offers defeated MPs up to $15,000 for career help tuition. Dozens of MPs were not re-elected in Monday's election. This is being reported by Catherine Tunney, October 27th, 2019. When Liberal Mark Holland lost his seat in 2011, he couldn't get out of bed for days. This is an elected... just listen to this story, folks. We'll try to get through it. Let's just grin and bear. Let's just try to get through this. But I have to fucking laugh as someone that's functioned in the private sector my whole life, who doesn't have any of this pretense of using the full force of the government to benefit myself economically. But hey, like I said, let's try to get through this, and then I'll respond subsequent to it. It was absolutely devastating for me because it was my hometown. It felt personal. It felt like a personal rejection, said the Ajax MP, who went on to be re-elected in 2015 and again on Monday. It's like being in a car going 100 kilometers an hour and hitting a brick wall and everything stops. Oh, is that exactly what it's like? That's what it's like? Really? That's not hyperbole in any way? You're not exaggerating or stretching the truth in any way as a politician? No, that couldn't possibly be the case. He credits the House of Commons transition program with helping him move on from his defeat. The program offers counseling and up to $15,000 to help defeated MPs transition from the House of Commons back to the civilian world, which for this particular gentleman was only a very few short years apparently, and he was back on the public dole, on the public dime. It's a program that nearly 50 incumbents who lost on Monday can access as they take stock of their defeats. The taxpayer-funded package can be used to cover the cost of career transition services, job training, or post-secondary education, and some travel expenses, according to the Members' Allowances and Services Manual. That's the thing. There's so many entitlement programs in this socialist, this quasi-socialist, or getting so close to full-on socialist country Canada. They can't take advantage of any of those other big government initiatives? They need their own special made and custom tailored to, like I say, the multiple levels of redundant bureaucracy. The cost that imposes on the taxpayers, they admit here, it's exponential. Look at the debts and deficits. Actually, the taxpayer's not even paying right now. No, that's why everyone's allowing this shit to go on, because hey, I seem to be okay. My paycheck's not too bad. I'm still getting a few bucks back, right? Well, that's because it's your kids, your grandkids, and your great-grandkids that are going to have to be paid for this, but you're like, well, as long as it's not me, I guess, right? Once again, self-interest. Libertarians, we understand self-interest. We really, really do. Which is why we want to reduce the size and scope of government, because we recognize that, you put people in these kinds of positions, that's what you're going to get. Which is why we have to eliminate the possibility of people using taxpayers as their own personal ATM. But libertarians, we're so extreme, right? Yeah. How dare we be so extreme that we want taxpayers not to be forced to pay for the entitlements of defeated MPs? Anyways, folks, now it's going to go off into giving a little more of a personal story for this Holland guy. Who gives a flying rat's about this guy? Anyways, I sure as heck don't. I'll place a link to this article in the description of the video below. But once again, like I say, think about it. Just like I started this video. If you had access to basically an unlimited credit card, or like I say, the wallets or purses of millions of people, think about what you would do with that, or what you could do with that. Well, these people that represent the rulers establishment of this country, they don't have to dream or pretend to think about these things. That is a reality for them. And like I say, Canadians chose to keep this kind of gravy train rolling and humming along, which tells you once again that, especially that 4.1 million number that represents Canadians who work for government, whether it's on the local, provincial, or federal level. I guess those people are totally on board with supporting these kinds of initiatives, right? But apparently, so are even other Canadians who, I guess, benefit in some way from this kind of big government quasi-socialism that is Canada in 2019. Like I say, folks, all ethics, all morals, and all sense of decency, they're off the table at this point in time. And to pretend or suggest otherwise, well, that's you trying to convince yourself that reality doesn't exist. I mean, you go ahead and do that, but it's not going to convince people like myself, and it's not going to deny reality. You can deny reality, but reality is going to exist even with you denying it. And a lot of us out here, especially in the private sector, those of us who are taxpayers, yeah, we're the ones that got to suffer. So, but I guess at the end of the day, as long as it's not you, well, who gives a shit about anyone else? Listen, like I say, I understand that mentality. I understand that concept entirely, which is why the last thing we need or want in this country is the combination of that mindset with big government and that monopoly of force or violence to make all your hopes and dreams and aspirations come true at the expense of everyone else. It's Canadian Libertarian, and I love liberty.